Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Best Practices for Kindergarten Measurement. My name is Darabee, and today we'll be taking a look at different strategies that we should see in the kindergarten classroom during the measurement unit. Students will be describing objects using measurable attributes such as length, volume, and weight. They will not be measuring these objects, but simply describing them. They will also be comparing objects using these attributes by discovering which has more or less of that particular attribute. What is student learning going to look like in my classroom? Well, one of the things we're looking for is measuring with non-standard units. Not going to see any rulers or meter sticks. You can use snap cubes, paper clips, pieces of paper, erasers. One of the examples shown is students will trace themselves and then measure their height using their handprints. Students can then compare their height to other students in the classroom. This is a fun and engaging activity that will allow students to discuss things with their peers and a chance for us to informally assess their thinking. So what is student learning going to sound like in my classroom? We want to hear our students talking to their peers, engaging in discussion, and talking to understand and explain their answers. We want to hear them saying things like, I noticed my object was shorter because it didn't take as many snap cubes on mine as it did yours. Or I noticed my object is lighter than yours because when we used the balance, mine went up in the air and yours went down closer to the ground. We want to make sure that the students have a justification for their answer and to listen for what strategy they used and why they used it. Vocabulary is one of my favorite parts. These are some of the words that we want to introduce to our students during discussions. Students should hear us using these words, and they should be using these words when describing their thoughts and discussing with their peers. I'm going to talk about the word overlap. Because we're using non-standard objects, it's important to use the same non-standard object repeated and to not have any overlap of that non-standard object or any gaps when they're measuring. How are students going to demonstrate their understanding throughout this unit? One of the best ways for us to informally assess our students is to listen to their conversations and engage our students in discussions about their learning. We can use the observation checklist for this unit. We can use that as a guide of what we should be listening for. We can also use some of the resources here as more formal evidence of learning. These could include independent tasks, exit tickets, or some small group work with the teacher. As we are listening to our students' discussions and observing their learning, we can ask some guiding questions to help us understand their learning as well. Some of those questions could include, what do you notice about the measurement of this object? How can you compare the length of your object to your peers? What strategy can you use to measure the height of that object? Why did you pick that strategy? Because we are using non-standard units to measure objects, this is a great chance for parents to get involved in their learning at home. There's a tic-tac-toe board as well as a parent letter that can be sent home for this unit. Parents can also engage in discussions about the different height, weight, and volume of objects they see around their house. The more real-world connections we can make, the easier this is going to be for them to remember. Thanks for taking the time to watch this and listen to me. We'll see you next time for the unit on data analysis and probability.